Hey guys, it's Karen and I am here to talk about the Beauty Bay skincare, the new skincare range by Beauty Bay. I've bought 5 items of the 11 that they have. I've got all my notes here and I have tried each of the items here twice. And I will, of course, as I'm going along, kind of compare them to the Ordinary products. There's 4 different categories in the skincare range. There's cleansers, of which there's currently only 1, treatments, skin hits and moisturisers. The range is cruelty-free and vegan, so that's fantastic. The packaging is mostly recyclable. They actually specifically tell you which bits aren't. So on their bottles, everything's recyclable except for the glass dropper. There's no alcohol in any of the products that I can see. There's no synthetic fragrances. There are some natural fragrances that I will talk to you about when I talk about each product. If you see me looking down, it's because I've got my iPad here just to double check descriptions and things. There are 4 categories. There's cleansers, of which they only currently do 1, treatments, skin hits and moisturisers. So the cleanser is this. It's the Super Jelly Cleansing Gel, and the main ingredients in this are a prebiotic and avocado oil. So it always gives you the kind of 2 key things underneath the title of the product. This is £6.50 and this is 150 ml. I love this pump. I think this is brilliant. That's what it comes out like. This is very inexpensive compared to the Ordinary one. Actually, the Ordinary one is I've got it right in front of me. 150 ml is £13.90. So that one, what did I say, was £6.50. So it's more than double the price of this one. And I have to say they're pretty comparable. And it's not very often if I'm reviewing compared to the Ordinary, I will normally recommend you go for the Ordinary one. But this one has great ingredients and I don't see any benefit to the Ordinary one. So the idea of this one is that it is a light cleanser that you can use 1 to 2 pumps on wet skin and then rinse with a face cloth, or it says for light makeup to use a pump on dry skin, massage in and remove with a warm face cloth. I've tried it both ways. I've used it twice and I kind of suspected it wouldn't get off my eye makeup because it says will remove light makeup. And the idea is that your skin feels moisturised but clean. And that's exactly what this does. Now, I put a couple of pumps, rubbed it into my eyes and used a warm face cloth. And all it did was my mascara and eyeliner was all under my eyes. It was a complete mess and it wouldn't budge it at all. And so this is not going to be good for you if you want to use it to remove your eye makeup. This did sting my eyes ever so slightly, but not much. And that's exactly the same as the Squalane cleanser from the Ordinary. It did remove my eye makeup actually, but it stung my eyes. And so I would say they are both great cleansers, but they're both great for light makeup and for face makeup. You know, they both leave your skin feeling nice and moisturised but clean. But you would need to go in with something afterwards. You'd need to use an eye makeup remover and you need to use a toner just to get some residue off, because when I used my micellar water after this, even on my face, there was still some to come off. But I do really like that and I think that's a great price. Okay, the next category is treatments and I don't have anything from this, but the first thing is an exfoliating toner. It's £6.75 for 150 ml, so another good price. This is a mix of PHA, AHA and BHA, so a mix of 3 acids. There's glycolic acid, lactic acid and gluconolactone, which is a polyhydroxy acid. The only thing when they mix these acids, in one way it's good because you're getting the benefit of all 3, but in another way I feel like I like to use one that's more targeted and more specific to me. So I'll use the glycolic acid, you know, if I can in my skincare routine for my fine lines. I'll use the lactic acid serum because that works on dry patches. And also there's a percentage in, certainly the ones from the Ordinary anyway, there's no percentage in this. So that's a big downside. It's a mix of acids, which like I say, in some ways you get the benefit from all of them, but you don't get anything targeted. But there's a big no for me on here. It's got orange peel in it, orange peel oil, which is, to me, is a sensitizer of the skin, and that's not something that I would recommend using. It's also got limonene in it, which a lot of people are sensitive to. I'm one of them. And it's also got witch hazel in it, which is often alcohol based. And I think those 3, having orange peel oil, limonene, witch hazel mixed with the 3 different acids, I don't think that that would be great for the skin. And like I said, there's no percentage in this, so you have no idea how much of anything you're using. So, and finally, comparing this to the Ordinary, they are almost the same price. This is £6.75, the Ordinary is £6.80, but the Ordinary is a glycolic acid 7% toner, which should work on most skin types, and I would recommend going for the Ordinary one. The glycolic acid toner 7% is great. That's the one that I use, and like I said, I think that's okay on most skin types unless you're really sensitive. Next are blemish dots. Now, I already use blemish dots, and I would imagine they are really good because there's one ingredient, and that is hydrocolloid, I can never say that word, plaster material. So it's basically just a little spongy dot that you put on top of a blemish, and it takes any gunk out, reduces the inflammation. They're absolutely brilliant. I used one 2 days ago on a little spot I had in the corner of my nose there. Not one of these specific ones, but these are £5.95 for 72. So if you do suffer with breakouts, these are really, really good. So highly recommend those. And then the third item in the treatments, third and final item, is the clay mask. I didn't buy that, but I was tempted to buy it because it's got PHA in it. So it's got an acid in it. And I thought that was a really interesting ingredient to put in a leave-on mask, because I do like the Ordinary leave-on mask. The mask is £7.50 for 95ml. And it says that you can mix it with anything from the Skin Hit range, which they are kind of serums. So that's an interesting way of using skincare as well, mixing a couple of drops of something in with a clay mask. I didn't end up buying this just because I would use it once and then not use it again. You know, I am trying to be a little bit frugal and try and think, am I going to continue using this product? And a clay mask is just, I just don't use masks. You've heard me say before, but I do think this is a really good one. And this is one that I would recommend if you like masks. And it's definitely, if you've got, you know, blemish, congested skin, this would be a great mask to use. I will recap at the end which products I recommend. The next category is Skin Hits, and the first one I'm talking about is the Soothing Serum, they call this, and this is the one that has niacinamide and copper in it. So they all come in these bottles, I think. I mean, I've only got 2 of them, but I'm pretty sure from the pictures they're all in the same bottle, which is slightly confusing because when I was going to use these yesterday, the writing's tiny, and I was trying to get my glasses out and put the light on and try and figure out what I was using. But this one is the niacinamide plus copper for tackling excess oil and clogged pores. So it's the Soothing Serum. Let me show you what it looks like, and I'll tell you why it looks like that in a moment. So it's blue, as you can see. It is not a watery serum, it's more of a silky type feel serum, and it's beautiful, really beautiful feeling on the skin. I really like how it feels. It's £5 for 50ml, so really, really good price. There are a couple of no's for me in this, and things that you should know, sorry. The number one is, again, there's no percentage, and I feel like with niacinamide, it's good to use a really high percentage. So it bothers me that there's no percentage of the niacinamide in here. It is the number one ingredient, but I feel like if it was a high percentage, they would have said. So that's my first issue. My second issue is that some of you might think you're getting a copper peptide, and it's not. This is a copper salt. It's not a copper peptide that you're getting in here. And the copper salt, copper PCA, is known to be soothing, and this is called a soothing serum. So, you know, it's used in the right way, but it's not a peptide. So if you're thinking it's anything like the copper serums that the Ordinary do, then it's definitely not. And my final issue with this is that it has peppermint oil in it. So remember I said that there are some natural oils in here. So there are orange essential oil in something that I already talked about that I think is irritating. Peppermint oil is in a lot of these products, and peppermint oil for me is one of those that is a bit of a question mark, because it is one of the essential oils that at very, very low doses, because it's still an essential oil and very, very potent, it can, for some people, be a soothing ingredient and a good ingredient for the skin. But in others, it can be very, very sensitizing and very bad for the skin. So it's one of those that I don't actually know where I fall in that spectrum. And it's such a strong product. I love the smell of it though, and I use it for my headaches all the time. And I put it on my head, and I never ever react that way, you know. So I don't think I'm allergic to it, and I use it in a way higher strength than I should, but just because of the pain of my headaches. But like I said, it's one of those ingredients that you need to be careful of. So if you've got any kind of sensitive skin, do a test patch with this, you know, and be aware that if you buy it, you may well have some sensitivity to the peppermint oil. Saying that, I don't think I can smell it. I can definitely smell there's peppermint oil in there, but where it's on my hand, I can't. And it wasn't overwhelming. I can only, like, I have to stick my nose right in there and go, oh yeah, peppermint. And I think it's only because I know it's in there, if that makes sense. So it's not in a high, at a high level. So this isn't one that I would say don't buy. It's a £5. I think it's really good ingredients for £5 for this serum. It feels really lovely on the skin. I think that it peeled up for me. I've been using nothing but these for the last 2 days. In the morning, I used the C serum I'm going to talk about, followed by the day 1 moisturiser. And in the evening, I used the niacinamide, followed by the, what is it called? Rich moisturiser. And it did pill up. So I don't know whether it's the niacinamide or the moisturiser. I suspect it's the niacinamide because niacinamide always does that for me. But I did really enjoy this. What I need to do now is try this with another moisturiser and see if I get the same problem. But like I said, I suspect that's happened to me before. So that might bother you, but it doesn't happen for everybody. So yeah, it's not one I'd say avoid, but just be careful about the peppermint oil and be aware it's not a copper peptide. But it is lovely. And it did make my skin feel really nice, I have to say. I bought all these myself, by the way. This is not Beauty Bay, don't even know I'm doing this. Next is the correcting serum, and I didn't buy this. It is a mix of AHA and PHA, so it's glycolic acid and probably gluconolactane, so 2 acids in there. It's £5.95 for 50 ml, so a good price. But again, this one has peppermint oil in, and this is one I wouldn't recommend because peppermint oil, like I say, could be sensitizing for you, but I really don't think it should go in something that is already potentially sensitizing. So something that is an acid that is going to, you know, kind of the point of it is to irritate your skin a little bit, or to turn it over. And I think mixing peppermint oil with that isn't a good thing. Also, there's no percentage. We have no idea what percentage this is. So with this one, I would say you would be better to buy the lactic acid from, let me find my prices here. The lactic acid from the Ordinary is £5.80. And that is a lovely serum. If you don't mind the smell, I love the smell actually. It smells like celery, which weirdly I like. But it is £5.80 versus this being £5.95. So it's actually cheaper. So I would go for either the glycolic acid toner from the Ordinary or the lactic acid. You can get it in a 5% or you can get it in a 10% from the Ordinary. Next is the Hydrating serum, which is hyaluronic acid and glycogen. So that's interesting. I've never seen that. I don't think I've seen glycogen in a product. I don't know much about it as a moisturising agent. You know, I haven't looked into it, but I believe that that's what it does. It moisturises. This one again has peppermint oil in. I wouldn't say that's so much of an issue as it's not mixed, you know, it's mixed with a soothing moisturising ingredient as opposed to something that is going to exfoliate your skin. It's £5.95, but again, it has no percentage in it. For a hyaluronic acid 2% plus B5 in a 60 ml bottle, so a little bit more than the 50 ml that the Beauty Bay do, it's £10.80. That might say £10.60. I haven't got my glasses on. I would say go for the Ordinary one on this because again, the peppermint oil, there's no percentage. I'm sure it's lovely. It's not one that I bought, and there's nothing major other than, you know, potentially the peppermint oil. But I think that you're better to buy the one from the Ordinary. The 30 ml from the Ordinary is £5.90. So the 30 ml is the same price as this one, but this one is 50 ml. So it's a little bit less expensive to buy it from Beauty Bay. So that's one I would say kind of you need to decide on your skin and if you're bothered about the peppermint oil and there being no percentage in it, etc., etc. Okay, the next one I bought is the Brightening serum, and this is vitamin C and peptides. So it looks like this, and I'll show you what it comes out like. It's a very kind of milky type of serum. Like that. Whoops! And I've just thrown it all over the floor. Oh my God. Okay, I've now thrown most of this all over the carpet, all over my socks. And this is one that I would actually use again, and I really like this. So let me show you it again. This is a little bit of the serum. Be very careful with that. So this is a vitamin C plus peptides, and it's a really interesting one because firstly, the vitamin C is a derivative. So this is not pure vitamin C, it is ascorbyl glucoside. I did a video on all the different type of vitamin C derivatives, and from memory, ascorbyl glucoside isn't one that's way up there, but it would be better than not using a vitamin C. But the same as is the situation with retinol derivatives, a vitamin C derivative will need to convert into ascorbic acid to be useful in the skin. So I don't mind that there's a derivative in it. I have tried the Ascorbyl glucoside from the Ordinary and I didn't enjoy the feel of the serum. The peptide that's in this is acetyl hexapeptide 1, and that's quite an interesting one because it's not an anti-aging peptide. It's actually one that it can help protect from UV damage, but it's more works with the pigment in your skin, and it can help to like prolong a tan and things like that. So this is not one that you would want to use if you were trying to get rid of pigmentation. I would say avoid this. And it's not one if you want a real strong vitamin C. The other thing about that peptide though is that it is very low on the list, so I don't think there's very much of it in here. And it doesn't tell you how much of this Ascorbyl glucoside is in here again, so no percentage on this. And did I tell you the price? £6.50 for 50 ml. The Ascorbyl glucoside from the Ordinary is £8.90 for 30 ml, and so this one is, what did I say it was, £6.50? Yeah, £6.50 for 50 ml. So this one is less expensive, but like I said, no percentage. The one from the Ordinary is 12%. And I would say if you want the benefits of a vitamin C derivative, it's almost more important to have a percentage and to know that it is a high potency, because it is a derivative. So it has to work harder. So you want it to be more potent, if that makes sense. So if that's the reason you're using it and you really want something, you know, you don't want to use ascorbic acid, maybe it irritates your skin, and you do want to use a derivative, I think Ascorbyl glucoside is a good one, but the Ordinary one, even though it's a few pound more expensive, it is better because it's more concentrated. However, I would use this over the Ordinary one simply because I don't love the formula of the Ascorbyl glucoside. I don't like the feeling of it. And I would probably use this in addition to using an ascorbic acid, or I like ethylated vitamin C. So I really like the feel of this. I have to say, I put this on this morning and yesterday morning underneath my, well, actually I used it underneath this, but I will be using this underneath my SPF, and it feels really beautiful on the skin, and it didn't ball up, didn't pill at all. Yeah, I really like this one. And there is no peppermint oil in here. So the only downsides are that it doesn't tell you the percentage. This is one I could potentially see me buying again, actually, just because of how nice it felt, and because I like the idea of throwing a derivative in there. You know, just, I always feel like with skincare, the more different types of something you can use, the better, as long as you are not over stressing your skin. So I'm not talking about, you know, use a glycolic acid toner, then put a lactic acid on, and then use an AHA, you know, I'm talking about being careful. But with a vitamin C derivative, it's not going to be irritating, and it's not going to cause any problems mixing it with other products. So I really like that serum. Okay, the final skin hit product I didn't buy, and it was the clarifying serum, and this one is bakuchi and oatmeal. It's £6.50, and this is one, it's supposed to be for people with breakouts and to moisturize the skin, even though it says that it's a clarifying one, so that's a bit confusing. This is one that I wouldn't recommend because it has limonene in it, which I've mentioned is sensitizing to a lot of people. It has peppermint in it, and it also has eucalyptus essential oil in it. And it also doesn't give you any percentage of the bakuchiol. Bakuchiol is something you guys know that I think is a nice ingredient. It has some research behind it showing that it could well be a retinol alternative. So to me, this is more of an anti-aging one, but I suspect they're not advertising it as anti-aging because there's not a high percentage in. And the oatmeal is definitely something that would be moisturizing and helpful to breakouts. And bakuchiol has had some results in skin that is acne and breakout prone. But like I said, with this one, there's no percentage of the bakuchiol. There is, and there are 3 irritating fragrances in there, so it's not one I would recommend. I can't remember if I said that was £6.50. There isn't anything similar to this in, wow, there's somebody just picking up rubbish. That's nice. There isn't anything similar to this in the Ordinary. So on to the moisturisers, and there are 2. There is the Day One Ginseng and Squalane for protecting and hydrating skin, and this is for normal, oily and combination skin types. Then this one is the Thirst Trap Rich Moisturiser, Oatmeal and Oat Lipid. So let me talk about this one first, because I would definitely recommend this one. This one is £7 and you get 95 ml. You probably know what I'm going to say, why I don't love it, because it's in a jar, but that is something I can remedy. You know, I can put this into one of my jars that have a pump top on it to make it more hygienic. It's not that I don't have a problem with the whole, a lot of people think it's because it's got actives in it and it's going to go off. It's not that it's going to go off. That's not my issue. My issue is putting fingers in it. I just think that that's very unhygienic, even though that's exactly what I did last night using it. I just took it from the lid. I had just washed my hands, but I just don't like dipping my fingers in it. I just think that's the way to leave germs in it. I think it's because I've had acne prone skin. I'm very conscious about anything touching my face, you know, any kind of bacteria. Anyway, I'm going to do it again, and I haven't just washed my hands. I've been touching a lot of things, but like I said, it's from the lid, so I don't feel quite so bad. But that's what it looks like. It is a typical rich feeling moisturiser. No scent, but it feels rich, but it feels kind of gel-like, which is really, really unusual. What have I said about this? The ingredients in it are oat, so it has, as it says on the front, oat, what does it say, oatmeal and oat lipid, and it also has glycerin and panthenol in it, which are really lovely, soothing, moisturizing ingredients. So yeah, like I said, I used this last night on top of the niacin and the night before, and my skin feels lovely. I have to say, 2 days of using these and my skin feels really nice. It didn't feel tight at all. It didn't feel greasy at all. I really like this. There's a lot of products in jars that I really like, that I'm like, if only you didn't come in a jar, I'd probably repurchase you. Yeah, I don't have anything bad to say about it at all. I would definitely recommend this if you've got dehydrated skin, dry skin, and you really want to, you know, amp up the moisture. This would be a great one, because I think £7 is a really good price for that, because you don't need to use a lot either. And it's a little bit of a unique formula with, like I said, it's got that sort of silky gel feeling, but it still feels very rich. So I'm really impressed with that one. I think that's lovely. The final one to talk about is this, the Day One moisturiser. This one has got limonene and eucalyptus in it, although they are very, very low on the list, which is why I bought it, because like I said, I know that my skin can sometimes break out from limonene. Break out as in react, not break out in spots or little red blisters. And it's got eucalyptus oil as well, but they're very, very low on the list. This has got ginseng and squalane as the kind of main ingredients. I love the pump bottle, absolutely love that. I might actually use this first and then see if I can somehow get that other rich cream into here and use it that way. I don't know if that would work. But that's what it's like. It's, again, a kind of gel-like feel. And this is one that I thought, okay, I'm buying this not knowing if I'm going to be able to use it, because I normally use an SPF as my day moisturiser. And with it being light, I thought it's never going to work as a night cream for me. So this is one that I kind of bought knowing that I might not have a use for it going forward. This one, I can smell the peppermint on there, and I really like the smell of peppermint, like I say, and I think my skin's okay with it. But what has really surprised me about this is how moisturising it is, because I've been using it, I used it in the morning on both days underneath the vitamin C serum, but I also tried it the first day I got it in the evening. You know, the courier turned up and I was like, well, I'm going to use that as my night cream and just see what happens. And actually my skin wasn't tight, and I've always found a lot of moisturisers still make my skin tight. Even if it's for dry skin, sometimes I still feel like my skin is a bit tight, and it didn't feel like it with this. So I was really surprised at that, because the idea of this is a very light, refreshing feeling, you know. So I am going to be able to use this, and I will use it as a night cream. This one, by the way, is £6.50 for 125 ml, so really good price. So what I did want to mention that I have seen happen on my face is, and you won't be able to see it because it's under makeup, but I have got a lump, a little red lump here, and it may look like I've gone too far up with my eyeshadow. Do you see there? There's a little red spot. I actually meant to conceal it, but I forgot. And then by the time I'd done my eyeshadow, I was like, if I conceal it now, it's going to mess up my eyeshadow. That's actually a red spot. It's not my eyeshadow, you know, where I haven't blended it. And it's actually quite a sore to the touch red spot. And it's a little bit itchy, and this one under here is a little bit itchy as well. That could be from the limonene in here, so I will leave it for a couple of days, see how my skin is, and then go back and use this and see if I get the same reaction from it. But it could also be from Differin, because I started using Differin. Now it's been 3 days since I've used Differin. I'm due to use it tonight, so I'm only using it twice a week at the moment so that I can, you know, start off slowly. And I used to think that after 3 days, you wouldn't get a reaction for something you used 3 days ago. But actually, that's exactly what happened to me with retinol. You know, 2 days would go past and I'd think, oh, I've had no reaction. And on day 3, I would be a mess. So these could well be from the Differin. And if they're, Differin from the adapalene. And if they're not from that, I would say it's probably from the limonene, although it's very, very low on the list. I wouldn't expect to have kind of that reaction from something so low on the list. I don't think it's from the peppermint because, like I said, I've put peppermint on my skin before and accidentally got it down the sides and whatnot and had no reaction at all. One other thing to tell you is that the sets are not any better value, which I find really weird. I always feel like if you're buying a set, there should be even a couple of pounds off it, you know, but I added up everything and it's exactly the same price if you buy them all individually. They don't come in any specific special presentation or anything like that. So I think that's a bit unusual. Other than I suppose it's telling you this is for your type of skin and this is for your type of skin. You know, I think one's for dry and one's for oily, blemish prone skin. Okay, so let me recap on the things that I do recommend. I recommend the gel cleanser if you don't have heavy makeup that you want to take off with it. I don't recommend the exfoliating toner. I would say go with the Ordinary. I do recommend the blemish dots and the clay mask. I think they would be really good. The niacinamide and copper, I do recommend if you're careful about the peppermint oil. But if you want a good niacinamide, I don't think I did the comparison with this at the time. The Ordinary do one which is a good comparable price. It's probably a couple of pounds more, but it's got I think it's a 10% niacinamide you can get from the Ordinary, and of course you can get a copper as well, but that's more expensive. The correcting AHA PHA serum I don't recommend because it's got peppermint oil in it and no percentage. I would say use the Ordinary Lactic Acid or Glycolic acid. The hydrating serum, the one that's hyaluronic acid and glycogen, I don't particularly recommend, but I haven't tried this one. It does have peppermint oil in it, but there's no percentage of the hyaluronic acid. That wouldn't bother me too much actually. The one from the Ordinary, the 2%, that's one to get if you know that hyaluronic acid works for you and you want a high percentage. For me, I'm not sure if it works. Some of them I think are starting to work for me. So I might well order that one. I should have really ordered that one at the time. The Brightening vitamin C and peptides, I do recommend. I think this is lovely, but remember it's a derivative. And I think it's a really interesting peptide in there. So I do recommend the brightening one, the C and peptides. The clarifying serum, I don't recommend. I think that the one with bakuchi and oatmeal, it doesn't have a percentage and it's got a lot of irritating fragrances. And both of these I recommend, but remember this has got peppermint in it, and so just be aware of that. But both of these are lovely. My absolute favourite is the vitamin C serum. I thought that felt really lovely on my skin, and the day one moisturiser, which I was surprised that really did work at moisturising my skin. So those are my two favourites. That's everything. I think that's all the information you need. I will list below all of the things I've talked about today that I recommend, and what I'll do is for the ones where I recommend the Ordinary, I'll link that one for you and I'll put in brackets preferred over the Beauty Bay one, just in case, because it's hard sometimes to keep up, isn't it, when, especially me, I know that I talk very fast. Actually, on that note, my dad's wife is deaf, and she's always telling me that I talk so fast that I need to learn to slow down. And so I really do try very hard with her. And I said to her, it would be a really good thing if I could learn to speak slower, because I know that I speak too fast on YouTube. I often get comments. But you know, I am, what am I now, 47, nearly 48. It has been a lifetime of speaking at this speed. So it will take some time for me to learn to slow down, but I'm trying my best because she lip reads, and obviously it's better than if I speak slower. Okay, so let me tell you what I've got on makeup wise. I have got on the Urban Decay. I even kept it here so I could show you. Stay Naked foundation in 40 NN. And I always have to say this just because in case you're ordering online, it's a lovely foundation. I really like this. I think it looks really nice on here. But 40 NN is lighter than 20 NN, 30 NN, and possibly even 10 NN. It's a really weird one. This is just a random light color. So don't, if you think you're darker than me, don't go to 50 NN and think that you'll get the right shade, or, you know, you really need to investigate the colors before getting them, and because it does oxidize as well. So that's the foundation. On my eyes, I have got the Huda Beauty Nude Obsessions palette in medium. I'm obsessed with those palettes, and I'm actually now about to do a comparison of the three of them. But this one is the medium one. I've used all the medium. I didn't use any other palette with it. And I've got lashes on that are called Naked Lashes, and they're 424 Ardell Naked Lashes, and I think they're really pretty. On my cheeks is the Hourglass blush in Dim Infusion. On my lips is the Stila liquid lipstick in Caramello. But, ooh, sorry, I just got a text message there from the walker saying no limping, excellent. And this is the Buxom lip gloss in Bellini that I've got on top. It's a kind of peachy colour, and I love the menthol feeling of this. Probably not the greatest for your lips, but I love the feeling of it. So that's everything. I think this top says, it's a really weird thing to say, but it says avocado toast, yeah, and it's from Next. So that's everything. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll speak to you again soon.